This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlights. Derry, Dixon disagree over defection to APC in Bayelsa. Wike, labor unions resolve dispute in FCT. Natasha urges Supreme Court to dismiss Akpabio's appeal. Pen Gassan speaks on abuse of Nigerian workers by IOCs, I beg your pardon. Clintons agreed to testify on Epstein in U.S. Ronaldo suspends move to stop Benzema. Celebrity designer Vicky James' husband expects baby. Bayelsa State Governor Senator Dolye Diri and his predecessor, Senator Seriake Dixon, now representing Bayelsa West Senatorial District, have disagreed over the defection of the Diri to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and the unwillingness of the late Deputy Governor to join him. Dixon, who spoke at his country home, Toru Orua, in Sagbama local government area, while reminiscing about the life and times of the late Deputy Governor, revealed that he had asked the late Deputy Governor, Senator Lawrence Jakpo, to join his boss to APC, but he replied him that the spirit of his fathers will not allow that, as that was not a right thing to do. According to Dixon, only a principled man like Jakpo, who was raised on the right values and was not after pecuniary benefits would stand firm to reject such overtures to the effect. Reacting, Governor Diri, who spoke at the January edition of the monthly praise night in Government House, said politics is dynamic and politicians should learn to accept change in the overall interest of the people they serve. A statement by his chief press secretary, Mr. Daniel Alabra, said there is no static nature in politics due to alignments and realignments, and there was no problem with his late deputy following his defection to the APC. Anirudh Jackal did not inform him before going to court for fear of impeachment, and that he later apologized and agreed to withdraw the case. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has cautioned leaders across the civil and public service sectors in the state to uphold discipline and teamwork as key tools for delivering measurable results. The governor issued the warning while speaking at the opening ceremony of a 3-day orientation and leadership retreat for top government officials held at the Udomi Town Hall in Essa Central Local Government Area, adding that public office should not be seen as an avenue for personal enrichment, but rather as a platform for service and development driven by high performance and accountability among public servants. A statement by his chief press secretary, Patrick Obojele, the governor said his administration is firmly anchored on performance, monitoring and accountability, and also committed to engagements that will enhance governance and promote sustainable development across the state. The governor further said the retreat was designed to reposition the administration for improved service delivery, strengthen collaboration among ministries, departments and agencies, and deepen participants' understanding of governance processes. Operatives of the Edo Security Corps have arrested 2 suspects allegedly specialized in snatching of motorcycles for suspected kidnappers in the state. The suspects, identified as Yusuf and Zubairu, were arrested by the Security Corps operatives in the forest in Uromi, Essa Northeast Local Government area of the state. Deputy Commander of the Security Corps, Richard Balogun, who disclosed this to newsmen on Tuesday in Benin City, alleged that the suspects are members of syndicates that specialize in stealing motorcycles in Edo Central Senatorial District and sending them to the kidnappers in the forest. He said after receiving the motorcycles, the suspected kidnappers used them as a means of transport to come to the town to buy food and also collect ransom from the victims' families. Adding that security operatives have been on the trail of the suspects, added that they were, however, arrested due to a tip-off. He said before the arrest, the suspects had already stolen over 8 motorcycles for suspected kidnappers in the locality. But luck ran out on the suspects and they were arrested before they could convey another 4 stolen motorcycles in one day to the suspected kidnappers in the forest. Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced a 50-day continuous voter registration exercise across the 329 wards of Akwa Ibom State, while the ward-level registration, which began on Monday, will run for 50 days. A statement issued on Tuesday in Uyo by the INEC head of department, Voter Education and Publicity, Bukola Ojeme, said the exercise was designed to bring voter registration closer to the grassroots, while urging eligible citizens to take advantage of the opportunity. He also said eligible voters could now register at their respective INEC ward collation centers across the 329 wards in the state, with 2 wards in each local government area attended to daily. The INEC spokesperson also clarified that during the 50-day period, only the Commission's state headquarters registration center would remain operational, while registration activities at the 31 local government area offices would be suspended. He further said only approved ward collation centers would be used for the exercise, warning that the Commission would not tolerate the use of unauthorized locations. Cross River chapter of the Magistrates Association of Nigeria has declared plans to resume its indefinite strike on February 9 following the state government's failure to meet their demands. The notice of the strike is contained in a letter dated February 2nd, issued in Calabar on Tuesday and signed by its chairman and secretary Godwin Ona and Solomon Abu, respectively. The magistrates said the decision to resume the suspended strike was taken at their general meeting held on January 30th. The association also said the government reneged on earlier promises which had led to the suspension of the industrial action, stressing that key demands include a 50% remuneration increase, official vehicles, accommodation, renovation of court facilities and payment of the 2019 salary arrears, and also decried the payment of 15,000 as monthly impress allowance, compared to magistrates in neighboring states who receive between 200,000 and 250,000 naira monthly. They further demanded the immediate implementation of promotion and regularization of magistrates in the state with necessary financial benefits across all cadres, as well as the payment of all accrued arrears. Imo State government has commenced a statewide measles rubella vaccination campaign across the 27 local government areas of the state. The campaign was officially flagged off on Tuesday in Owerri by the wife of the governor, Chioma Uzodinma, who said the exercise was aimed at protecting children from measles and congenital rubella syndrome. Uzodinma commended the federal government for its efforts towards eradicating measles and rubella in Nigeria and for introducing the combined vaccine in Imo State, adding that the initiative aligns with the administration of Governor Hope Uzodinma's commitment to preventive health care and the reduction of child morbidity and mortality in the state. According to her, the vaccination exercise is expected to reach thousands of children and forms part of a broader national and global effort to eliminate measles and curb complications associated with rubella, and also assured residents that the vaccines were safe and free, describing immunization as the most effective means of preventing childhood diseases. She also said awareness and sensitization activities were ongoing across the 27 local government areas to encourage parents and caregivers to present their eligible children for vaccination, adding that the immunization exercise will run from February 4 to 16, 2026, and further described the campaign as a crucial step towards strengthening routine immunization, preventing disease outbreaks, and improving child survival. Imo State Police Command has arrested 25 suspects in various criminal involvements and recovered arms and illicit drugs. A statement by the spokesperson of the command, Henry Okoye, the police said it arrested 25 suspects for offenses bordering on kidnapping, armed robbery, cultism, drug peddling, child trafficking, and others, adding that in the course of investigations, operatives recovered 4 assault rifles, 25 cartridges, 2 vehicles, 3 motorcycles, 35 bags of weeds suspected to be cannabis sativa. Other items recovered include suspected stolen aluminium roofing sheets and other incriminating exhibits. The police spokesperson, while acting on credible information, operatives of the command intercepted an ash-colored Ford J5 bus at Nkweshi, Oguta local government area and arrested 2 suspected drug peddlers conveying a large consignment of illicit substances to suspected criminal networks in Eziosu within the local government area. He further said 1,200 kilograms of weed suspected to be cannabis sativa and other prohibited substances were recovered, while the Commissioner of Police, Abuki Danjuma, who was recently promoted, reassured residents of the state of the command's sustained resolve to crush criminal networks and ensure public safety. Lagos State House of Assembly has ordered an immediate halt to the demolition of structures in Makoko and adjoining waterfront communities in the Yaba local government area of the state. The directive followed a meeting with representatives of the affected communities held at the Latif Jakande Auditorium in the Assembly Complex, Alausa, Ikeja. The chairman of the ad hoc committee set up by the Speaker of the House, Nohim Adams, said the resolution reached at the meeting and the House had resolved that all ministries and agencies responsible for the demolition in Makoko, Oko Agbon and Shogunro communities should suspend the exercise until further notice. He also said residents whose properties had already been demolished would be compensated, and on behalf of the affected communities after the meeting, the Bale of one of the communities, Isaac Kumayon, expressed appreciation to the Assembly for its intervention. Benue State High Court sitting in Makurdi has stopped the executive order issued by Governor Hyacinth Elia restricting public gatherings across the state. This is coming after Governor Elia had on February 27, 2024, signed the executive order which banned public gatherings and all forms of events, including wakes, ceremonies and religious activities beyond 10 p.m., alongside other restrictions. The order was challenged in court by a former publicity secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Bemba Lotinyom, and a human rights activist, Ade Bayo Ogori. Delivering the judgment last Friday, the presiding judge, Justice Teresa Igoche, held that the executive order lacked any lawful foundation and accordingly set it aside, and the courts consequently granted all the relief sought by the plaintiffs and issued a perpetual injunction restraining the governor, his agents and privies from enforcing or giving effect to the executive order. Justice Ugoche further declared the executive order signed on February 28, 2024 null and void, describing it as illegal, unreasonable and ultra-vires the powers of the governor and in breach of the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And while hailing the judgment as a victory for the rule of law and constitutional democracy, the plaintiffs said the decision had renewed hope that a just society was possible when citizens stood up in defense of fundamental rights. Kogi state government has shut down all primary and secondary schools in the state and no reason for the emergency lockdown, while there are rumors that the state wants to embark on security raid across the state. A message by the Kogi State Chairman, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, NAPPS, Pastor Ruben Jimo, to his members said the state government has decided to fast forward the midterm break into the emergency lockdown. The public relations officer from the Ministry of Education, Solomon Musa, confirmed the development but declined to give reasons for the sudden lockdown of schools. As part of efforts at marking the Federal Capital Territory's Golden Jubilee, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike conducted an extensive inspection of ongoing infrastructure projects while declaring that President Bola Tinubu's administration has fundamentally brought landscape infrastructural transformation to the people. Speaking to newsmen after visiting several construction sites, the minister expressed high satisfaction with the pace of work, specifically highlighting the Outer Southern Expressway and the Upper Wasa Road network. While reflecting on the FCT's 50th anniversary of February 3, 2026, Wike said the recent infrastructure push is more than just a celebration. Wike began his tour in Gishiri, adding that the road network is slated for inauguration within the administration's second or third year. Federal Capital Territory Police Command has advised the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress to reschedule their planned protest in Abuja on Tuesday, February 3, 2026, citing security concerns and intelligence reports indicating a risk of infiltration by non-state actors. The police said the planned rally, announced by organized labor in solidarity with striking workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, could be hijacked and pose a threat to public peace and safety in the nation's capital. This is coming after the NLC and TUC had on Sunday announced plans to stage a peaceful solidarity rally in Abuja in support of FCTA workers who commenced an indefinite strike on January 19 over unpaid salaries, promotion arrears, and poor working conditions. In response to the strike, the FCT authorities approached the National Industrial Court, which declared the industrial action illegal and ordered the workers to resume duty. Organized Labour, however, accused the FCTA of intimidation and vowed to resist the court's order. In a joint statement signed by the NLC spokesperson, Benson Upa, and the TUC Secretary General N.A. Toro, the union said the rally would hold at the Federal Capital Development Authority as a public demonstration of solidarity and had directed all affiliates and state councils within the FCT to mobilize members for what they described as a lawful and peaceful protest. However, in a statement issued on Monday, the police public relations officer SP Josephine Ade said the command was aware of the planned protest and recognized citizens' constitutional right to peaceful assembly, stressing that the advisory was aimed at preventing a breakdown of law and order, protecting residents and ensuring the unhindered conduct of lawful activities in the FCT. The court adjourned the matter till February 10 for the hearing of the motion on notice. Organized Labour and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, have reached an agreement that has brought an end to their dispute, paving the way for the immediate resumption of work by affected employees. This development was communicated through a circular issued on Tuesday to all affiliates of the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) in Abuja. The circular was jointly signed by the Secretary General of the TUC, Mr. Nuhu Toro, and the Acting General Secretary of the NLC, Mr. Benson Upa. And the resolution was achieved after a conciliatory meeting between Labour leaders and the FCT minister. The meeting was convened at the instance of the chairman of the Senate Committee of the FCT, Senator Mohammed Bomoy, and the NLC and TUC directed all affected workers to return to their duties without delay. The directive applies to all affiliates of both labour centres within the FCT administration, while the labour leaders called for strict adherence to the directive in the interest of industrial peace and harmony, describing the outcome of the engagement as a demonstration of good faith by all parties. Meanwhile, in an interview with FCT, Minister Barrister Nyesom Wike on Tuesday in Abuja, Wike dismissed claims of a setback, adding that union leadership had seen the reality of the progress firsthand, clearing up misconceptions and optimal for workers. The administration has assured residents that anti-venom has been distributed to all FCTA-owned hospitals and public health centers following the death of singer Ifunanya Wanjin on Saturday. The death of Wanjin, which sparked public outrage and allegations of medical negligence, prompted the FCTA to clarify the availability of life-saving treatments for snake bites. The mandate secretary of the FCT Health Services and Environment Secretariat, Dr. Adedolapo Fasawe, in a statement said residents should remain calm, that the territory maintains sufficient supplies of both polyvalent and multivalent antivenoms. Fasawe's statement followed claims that the Wanjin could not access antivenom when she was rushed to the Federal Medical Center, Jabi, while the hospital, however, refuted the allegations that its medical team responded promptly when Wanjin was brought in and provided immediate appropriate care, but said Wanjin suffered severe neurotoxic complications as a result of the snake bite, and efforts were made to stabilize her condition and prepare her for transfer to the intensive care unit, and her condition deteriorated suddenly just before the transfer. The statement also said medical personnel carried out cardiopulmonary resuscitation and other life-saving measures but were unable to revive her, and urged residents to use the tragedy as a learning moment for emergency preparedness, while describing snake bite as a preventable public health threat against venomous species such as cobras, vipers, and puff adders are widespread in both urban and peri-urban areas of the FCT. Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani has commissioned the longest road that has been constructed the last 2 decades, cutting across 3 local governments and linking more than 76 farming communities in Kaduna State. He said the road, which stretches from Igabi to Kajuru and Chikun local governments, includes a 130-meter bridge over River Kaduna, which serves several rural communities, adding that the 35-kilometer asphaltic road linking Gadan Gayan through Gwaraji to Kujama Junction will transform mobility, agriculture, and rural economies in those communities. Speaking at the commissioning, he described the project as a historic milestone in the state's infrastructure development, adding that it reflects his administration's inclusive and people-centered development model. This is coming after Governor Sani flagged off the project in January 2024, and his administration pledged to deliver a durable and efficient transport corridor, stressing that the road provides alternative routes that reduces reliance on the often congested Kaduna metropolis, thereby cutting travel time and transportation costs for commuters and traders. The governor also stressed on the road's agricultural importance, as agriculture remains the leading contributor to Kaduna State's gross domestic product growth. Police have arrested 2 men over the killing of a Fulani herder in Karim Lamido local government area of Taraba State. The development was reported in a post shared on X on Tuesday by security analyst Zagazola Makama that the incident reportedly happened after his cattle strayed into an irrigation farm belonging to Abba Gwomu of Gwomu village, destroying seedlings. This is coming after an argument broke out between the herder and 2 men identified as Ibrahim Abubakar, 28, from Guyuk local government area in Adamawa State, and Gideon Joshua, 25, from Gwomu village. The suspects are currently in police custody, and the case is being transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation. Bauchi State Police are investigating the death of 2 children who drowned while swimming in a river on the outskirts of the city. The incident was reported in a post shared on X on Tuesday by security analyst Zagazola Makama, and this is coming after the victims Saminu Mohammed and Taminu Danladi, both from Gudum Sayawa, went into the river and they tragically got drowned. Police officers quickly responded, removing the children from the water and taking them to the specialist hospital in Bauchi, but a medical practitioner later confirmed that both boys had died. Kano State High Court has fixed April 15 for the hearing of pending applications in the ongoing trial of a former Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, and others over alleged misappropriation. The defendant is standing trial alongside his wife, Hafsat Umar, on an 11-count charge bordering on bribery, conspiracy, misappropriation, and diversion of public funds running into billions of naira, while others charged are Abubakar Bawuru, Abdullahi Umar, Jibrila Mohammed, Lamash Properties Limited, Safari Textiles, and Lasage General Enterprises Limited. When the case was called, the prosecution, a state counsel, Mr. Victor Oni, informed the court that he was ready to proceed, while on her part, defense counsel, Ms. Lydia Oluwakemi Oyewo, told the court that they were ready to proceed and that the defense had filed a motion on notice dated July 17, 2025 for stay of proceedings. In the same vein, counsel to the third and seventh defendants, Mr. Adekunle Taye Falola, told the court he was ready to proceed and also informed the court of a motion on notice dated May 23, 2025. The trial judge, Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu, consequently adjourned the case until April 15 for the hearing of preliminary objections and all pending applications. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is the Global News and Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Senate has urged state governments and the Federal Capital Territory Administration to establish coordinated emergency referral and response systems linking public and private hospitals following growing concerns over avoidable deaths arising from poorly handled medical emergencies. Lawmakers said the proposed system would ensure rapid access to life-saving medicines, particularly during emergencies such as snake bites, scorpion stings, poison, and drug overdose, where delays often prove fatal. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion sponsored by Senator Idiat Olurati Adebole, APC Lagos West, titled Urgent Need for the Federal and State Governments to Ensure Adequate Stocking, Availability and Access to Life-Saving Antidotes and Emergency Medicines in Public and Private Hospitals across Nigeria. Senator Idayat Adebole, Lagos West. The motion was prompted by public outrage over the death of a rising Abuja-based singer, Ifunanya Wanjin, who reportedly died after suffering a snake bite and being unable to access anti-venom treatment promptly. And Wanjin's death went viral over the weekend after her choir confirmed the incident in a Facebook statement signed by its music director, Sam Izugu. Lawmakers overwhelmingly backed the proposal, urging that compliance with minimum anti-venom and antidote stock requirements be made a condition for the licensing of new hospitals and the renewal of existing licenses. In his remarks, Senate President Godswill Akpabio condoled with the family of the deceased and Nigerians at large, describing the incident as deeply saddening. He led the chamber in a minute of silence in honor of the late Ifunanya Wanjin. Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Hadiza Akwoti Oduangan, has filed a counter-affidavit at the Supreme Court to oppose an appeal by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and the counter-affidavit was deposed to by a senior legislative aide to Akwoti Oduangan and filed in response to Akpabio's motion on notice dated January 21, 2026. The respondents urged the Apex Court to dismiss the application, describing it as a lacking merit and an abuse of court process, adding that the Court of Appeal had concluded hearing in the substantive appeal on November 28, 2025, and reserved the matter for judgment, stressing that approaching the Supreme Court had amounted to an attempt to interfere with an ongoing appellate process. The respondents also maintained that Akpabio was given a full opportunity to present his case at the Court of Appeal, and that Akwoti Oduagan's brief of argument was properly filed and never challenged, and alleged that while other parties complied with the 35-page limit prescribed by the Court of Appeals Rule 2021, Akpabio's brief exceeded the limit and was not regularized within the time allowed, prompting the court to decline its admission. The counter-affidavit further argued that the grounds of appeal raised issues of mixed law and facts without prior leave of court, rendering the appeal incompetent while dismissing claims of denial of fair hearing. The respondents said the Supreme Court to throw out the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesom Wike, says he is keenly interested in all activities of the Oyo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Wike, who disclosed this at the National Executive Committee, NEC, meeting of the PDP held in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, insisted that his concern is solely focused on the survival, stability and success of the party nationwide.
NEC resolved that all party organs, members and stakeholders shall continue to act strictly in obedience to subsisting court judgments and judicial directives, and urge INEC and other relevant institutions to fully comply with the said judgment in the interest of democracy and constitutional order. 3. NEC once again reaffirmed the legitimacy, authority, and mandate of the Abdurrahman Mohammed late National Caretaker Committee with Senator Samuel N. Anyanwu as Secretary, as earlier constituted and endorsed. NEC reiterated that the National Caretaker Committee remains the only lawful national administrative organ of the party, fully empowered to act as National Working Committee pending the conduct of the National Convention. 4. Pursuant to its constitutional responsibilities and in line with preparations for the smooth transition to an elected leadership, NEC approved and confirmed the following schedule of party congresses nationwide. World Congresses, February. Local government congresses, February. State congresses, March. NEC directed the National Caretaker Committee in collaboration with the National Organizing Secretary and relevant organs of the party to issue detailed guidelines, notices, and modalities for the conduct of the congresses in strict compliance with the PDP Constitution, INEC regulations, and judicial directives.
Addressing concerns about intimidation and internal threats, Wike said no vampires will take over the affairs of the party across the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT.
5. NEC further approved and confirmed March 28th and 29th as the dates for the PDP National Convention to be held in Abuja. This is for the purpose of electing members of the National Working Committee and other statutory organs of the party. NEC affirmed the extension of the tenure of the National Caretaker Working Committee, NCWC, and other affected caretaker committees of the state and zonal chapters, pending the conduct of the National Convention and the state and zonal congresses, respectively. NEC called on all members of the party at all levels to remain united, disciplined, and loyal to the PDP, eschew actions capable of undermining party cohesion, and place the collective interest of the party above personal considerations. NEC reaffirmed that the PDP remains committed to building a strong, disciplined, democratic, and electorally competitive party capable of providing credible leadership and governance to Nigerians. NEC expressed confidence that the resolutions of the 105th NEC meeting will strengthen internal democracy, restore stability, and reposition the party for future electoral successes. The committee urged all stakeholders, supporters, and members of the PDP across the country and in the diaspora to remain steadfast, law-abiding, and committed to the ideals of the party. This communique is signed by the National Chairman, Honorable Abdurrahman Mohammed, and Senator Samuel N. Anyao. Thank you, gentlemen of the board.
Wike further said the party is waiting for the Caretaker Committee to issue clear directives, particularly on the conduct of overdue congresses, which he described as critical steps towards organizing a credible national convention.
Look, of what profit if we allow this party to die? From 1999, all I am, everything I have, all the support is PDP. And so I grew from that foundation from 1999 till now. If we do not make the mistake we made in 2022-23, we wouldn't have where we are today. And that's why all of us must learn. It doesn't matter. We are selfish interests. Look at it, the collective interest, the survival of the party. That's what is key. So many people have come out to say this and say that and say this and say that. But people don't like to tell the truth. And what's the truth? All of us are aware that some of our people here went to court, led by the chairman of Imo State and Co. And that was the First Justice Motosho. Again, one of our leaders went to court. His Excellency Alhaji Lamido went to court about denying him of his rights and privileges as provided in the constitution of the party. And the party and the court came to very conclusive judgment and said, don't do this and don't do that. Those who felt that, oh no, it does not matter, they will do whatever they want to do. And by the advice of the guys, I said, no problem, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. But they believe that it will not stand. And by the grace of God, that did not stand.
National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party has unanimously reconfirmed, ratified and reaffirmed the full content, validity, force and effect of all resolutions and decisions reached at the emergency 104th NEC meeting held on Sunday, 7 December 2025. A communique read by the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Jangudu Haruna Mohammed, at the end of the 105th INEC meeting held on Monday, 2nd February 2026. In Abuja, said all actions taken pursuant to the 104th NEC resolutions remain binding, lawful and operative, having been taken in strict compliance with the PDP Constitution as amended, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, the Electoral Act and relevant judicial pronouncements. The INEC further approved and confirmed March 28 and 29, 2026 as the date for the PDP National Convention to be held at Abuja for the purpose of electing members of the National Working Committee and other statutory organs of the party. NEC also affirmed the extension of the tenure of the National Caretaker Working Committee, NCWC, and others affected caretaker committees of the state and zonal chapters pending the conduct of the National Convention, state and zonal congresses respectively. Faction of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, backed by Nyesom Wike, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, has called on members to prioritize institutional caution over political haste and ensure compliance with court orders regarding the party leadership. Chairman of the BOT, Senate Mao Ohwa gave the charge on Monday in Abuja at the 85th meeting of the board. Addressing the gathering, Ohwa threw his weight behind the Mohammed Abdurrahman-led National Caretaker Committee, which is seen as loyal to the Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. He described the current period as a defining moment for the party, urging the elders and conscience keepers of the PDP to act as anchors of stability following months of internal turbulence. National Chairman of the Caretaker Committee, Honorable Abdurrahman Mohammed, who expressed his gratitude to the BOT for their support, emphasized that the holiday season is officially over and it is now time to focus on the mandates given to the committee to put the party on the right track. He reinforced the legal standing of his leadership by referencing the recent declaratory judgments by the Ibadan High Court in their favor, stating that the law is simple and unambiguous, and the committee shall continue to support justice for the great party. All Progressives Congress has set up a central coordination committee for its 2026 National Convention in a move aimed at ensuring a smooth and well-organized party congress. A statement signed by the APC National Secretary, Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru, the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma was appointed chairman of the committee, while Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak will serve as vice chairman. Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State was named secretary of the committee. The committee is made up of 73 members drawn from across the country, including 7 governors, senators, and other key party stakeholders, including governors from Kano, Kaduna, Borno, Lagos, Ogun, Rivers, Plateau, Katsina, Sokoto, Gombe, Jigawa, Yobe, Benue, Cross River, Ebonyi, and Nasarawa states. Among others, prominent members include Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, and several others, while details regarding the inauguration of the Central Coordination Committee, as well as other activities leading up to the 2026 National Convention, would be declared in due course. National Chairman of the African Democratic Congress ADC, David Mark, says Nigerians suffer worse under all the All Progressives Congress APC-led federal government than any other administration in the past. Mark, who disclosed this at the inauguration of the Policy and Manifesto Committee of the party in Abuja, said the poverty situation in Nigeria had been brought about and compounded by policies of the APC government. According to him, Nigerians are desperately looking for credible alternative ideas, actions and policies that would improve their lives today and lay a solid foundation on which they can improve their future. Department of State Services has arraigned former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and his son, Abdulaziz Malami, on 5 counts charges of terrorism, financing and aiding and abetting terrorism, and illegal possession of firearms. This is coming after Malami and his son appeared before Justice Joyce Abdulmalik of the Federal High Court, Abuja, and the former AGF was charged under count 1 with knowingly abetting terrorism financing by refusing to prosecute terrorism financiers whose case files were brought to your office as the Attorney General of the Federation for prosecution. Both Malami and his son were jointly charged under counts 2 to 5 for unlawful possession of firearms, and they were pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Following the arraignment, the prosecuting counsel, Dr. C.S. Eze, prayed the court to remand both defendants in DSS custody, pending the commencement of the trial. In response, lead defense counsel S.A. Aluwa San applied orally for bail for the defendants. Justice Abdul Malik ruled that the court is a court of record and could only entertain a written application for bail, and the case was adjourned to February 20th for a hearing on the bail application and commencement of the trial. National Examinations Council has released of the 2025 Senior School Certificate Examination SSCE external results with over 80% of candidates scoring 5 credits and above. The results were declared on Tuesday by NECO Registrar and Chief Executive Professor Dantani Wushishi during a press conference held at the Council's headquarters in Minna, Niger State. They also said the SSCE external examination is primarily taken by private candidates seeking certification outside their regular school system, and the external examination was to provide opportunities for those who missed the internal version or wish to improve their grades. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has intensified efforts to curb illicit cannabis cultivation by promoting an alternative development program aimed at replacing illegal farming with unlawful, sustainable livelihoods for rural communities. Addressing a journalist in Abuja on Tuesday, NDLEA Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Brigadier General Buba Mawa, retired, called for a strong national response and sustained support for the initiative, which he described as the first of its kind in Africa. Mawa said the pilot phase of the program was launched last week in 3 cannabis growing communities in Ilu Abon, Ifon, and Eleyo in Ondo State, stressing that the strategy goes beyond crop substitution to address the root causes of illicit drug cultivation. According to him, the alternative development approach focuses on strengthening rural economies through value chain development, promoting peace and social cohesion in crime-prone areas, supporting food production and agricultural diversification, and reducing the burden of law enforcement and the justice system. He urged stakeholders at all levels to support the initiative while calling on communities affected by illicit drug cultivation to embrace the model, stressing that more than 75% of the 15 million kilograms of illicit drugs seized by the agency in the past 5 years were cannabis, warning that continued reliance on enforcement alone would not resolve the problem. Labor unions resolve disputes in FCT. Natasha urges Supreme Court to dismiss Akpabio's appeal. Ben Gassan speaks on abuse of Nigerian workers by IOCs. Clinton's agreed to testify on Epstein's in U.S. Ronaldo suspends move to stop Benzema. Celebrity designer Vicky James' husband expects baby. I am Francis Necker. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, now X, at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.